Alright, so welcome to the Fellowship of the Fortified Tower again. This is part 2 of the title is The Last Ambush. And I got that, excuse me a minute, I got that today. I had to pause a day here. And regroup a little bit. And it's a good thing too, because I came across some more information, and the Lord led me to some more information, and some things I forgot, but and some new info too. But we were talking about. I was talking about Mach 10 missiles, okay, the last time, and this, I have a new map up. Anyway, these subs are going to be sitting like, across, right around here, all right, and over here, maybe even closer in, because I don't know, I'm not quite sure what's going to be left of this coast, and or this one either, for that matter, because of these quakes that are going to be happening, and also something might be the catalyst for these quakes, and it may not be, as I was talking about earlier, originating from this area of the ocean. From these deep earthquakes that Dutch Sense has been monitoring for several years now. There was a prophecy, there was a vision shown to a fellow named Ephraim Rodriguez, who's a pastor in Puerto Rico, and this was many years ago now, but he was shown, the Lord had him, he was out in space above the United States, somewhere up in here, and he could see the whole eastern seaboard of the United States, and he could see Puerto Rico and this area of the ocean, and the Lord showed him this meteor strike, and how the meteor would be undetected by the scientific community, because that there was going to be a rift open up in the fabric of space, basically, and this rock passes through it, and it's like sent right from heaven, okay? And it lands right around here, east of South Carolina and north of Puerto Rico, and it creates a tremendous tidal wave. He thought possibly thousands of feet high, and it would deluge the whole eastern seaboard and stop somewhere along the Appalachian Mountains. And I imagine the wave will also continue, go this way and deluge the west coast of Europe and Africa as well, and maybe even go as far down into the northern coast of South America here too. And he said that many of the islands in this area were just totally devastated as well. But that impact is going to be of such magnitude that it's going to shake the earth, literally shake the earth. And that is going to be the catalyst for this quake in the Midwest and the quake in California. And I was thinking about that, that the possibility of those things happening at the same general time. Now, Joe Brandt saw a clock, okay, when he was in Hollywood, and the clock was around 4:05 or some 4 in the afternoon, right around 4 in the afternoon when the quake started. And it lasted till like 4:30. Okay, he looked at the clock later, and everything was still shaking. But so if you take 4 o'clock from here, the East Coast is about 3 hours different. So you're looking at 7 o'clock at night in early spring. All right, and Ephraim saw that. I think that after this, he said that it got dark. After this thing hits, the eastern seaboard was in darkness. Okay, and he said he was at some point he was standing in this general area, and he felt the heat wave of this impact hit him, and it was such a tremendously hot heat wave that it burned a lot of trees and telephone poles and anything else that was standing that was in its path. And he said that this was just a big, like, tremendous red hot magma plume going up way up into the atmosphere. And that the size of the rock, I do not know. I don't know if he knew either, but evidently it's massive enough to cause all this damage. And it reminded me of a dream I had myself back like in 2012 or so, or 2011. And I was in the dream, I was in California, and I was looking southeast, and it wasn't dark yet, but it was either late afternoon or afternoonish, and I saw this bright light way off in the distance above. I was like looking over the San Joaquin Valley, but I was looking towards where I was. I was probably 100 miles north of Bakersfield or so. But I was up in some mountains, and I was just looking out at the San Joaquin Valley towards the south and southeast, and I saw this bright light, and it was so bright that it lit up the sky, and it went down behind the mountains, and that was the last I saw it. And I knew in the dream, I had this knowing that it was a large meteor of some sort, and that its impact was just way out of my view on the other side of the planet, the curvature of the Earth. It was just down a ways. I didn't know where exactly, but I knew in the dream, I knew that it had hit, it impacted, and after the dream, after the impact, there was a shudder, but then I saw all these like zoo animals kind of like walking in a row, and there were giraffes and elephants and tigers and other zoo animals that you'd see at a zoo, just like walking along, and they were at the base of these rise of hills, and I remember I woke up and I thought, that was odd, what the heck is that? And later, I guess, it came to me that because of this impact, and because of all the havoc that's going to be created out here, that there's going to be a lot of animals that are now currently, locked up, that are going to be released because of all this, and they're going to be running around free and roaming, and doing what they do, and nobody's going to be catching them, and they're going to, migrate wherever they can find sustenance and reproduce, and become more numerous, and so there'll be a lot of animals that are not necessarily indigenous to the United States, just running around free and causing issues later when they get more numerous. But that's kind of what I got from that, and that was something that this Ephraim Rodriguez prophecy brought to my remembrance today. And so it would seem that this event, okay, now the only warning that we may ever be getting about any of this is this storm in California, because of the prophecy that I think his name was John Paul Jackson. I think the fellow's name that received that prophecy about the storm hitting first and then the earthquake. So this storm passes, then how much longer after that will be this series of huge quakes and tsunami and tidal wave and all that hit the United States. Well, if what Joe Brandt saw was accurate, and his interpretation of the time of year was accurate, then early spring is when to expect this meteor to show up. So I just wanted to run that by you, and I would pray about all of this too, and ask the Lord yourself. Don't take my word for it. I'm just reporting what I've observed and what I've seen, and what I've been watching myself. It's up to each of us to look into these things and pray about them, and mainly ask the Lord what He wants you to do. And if you haven't received the Lord, I receive the Lord, okay? And that's an easy prayer, all right? All you got to do is just say, Lord God, I believe you are the Son. All right, so let's get back to that prayer. I don't want to leave that out. So prayer is, Lord Jesus, I believe you're the Son of God, and I ask you to come into my heart and forgive me of my sins. And I know I'm a sinner, and lead me in the way you want me to go, and I'll follow you the rest of my days, and just show me what you want me to do, and give Him everything, and just give your life, lay it there, and go, take it, do what you want with me, and go get baptized, and then, you don't have to be baptized necessarily by some certified preacher or anything like that. I was baptized by a fellow brother, and and he asked me to baptize him, and I was like, oh, what? It was like an honor, but I did it in faith, and I baptized him, and it was not that, it was it was a beautiful thing, really. I was honored to be a party of it, but it's an act of faith. It's an act of faith, and it's something that the Lord, wants us to do, and just follow His ways, and then find a believer that's rock solid in his faith, and ask the Lord to show you, lead you to them. They're, and He will. He definitely will, and tell Him, ask the Lord to guide you and to avoid the pitfalls that will, come. One thing, the brother that introduced me to the Lord, he told me right afterwards, okay? He said, now the devil doesn't like what you just did, and he's going to be coming after you, and he's going to try to mess you up and trip you up. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And he goes, but don't worry. He goes, the Lord's with you, and the Lord's greater than him, much greater. He who is in you is greater than he who's in the world, okay? So there's, there's nothing to be afraid of there, as long as you learn, you read your Bible and you pray, and you seek the Lord with, your daily, activities or whatever you're doing, and He'll guide you, and he may, like we used to call these vines, we'd be walking through a jungly kind of area or whatever, and there'd be these branches that had all these, thorns and stickers on them, and it would snag you up, and we call them wait a minute vines. Well, sometimes you plan your day, and the Lord, He has a chuckle, and He'll, grab you and move you and point you in another direction altogether for a while or something, and have you do something else, and it's like He just jerked you with His "wait a minute" vine, but it's all good because He knows best what you need to be, doing, and it's an awesome thing to watch, really, and every day is another adventure in the Lord's big adventure, but it's just an awesome thing how it works. So I wanted to convey that. So it's important for us to pray about these things. Don't take my word for it. Seek Him on it, and He'll let you know. He will definitely, with all your heart, mind, and soul, if you give Him everything, He's going to definitely tell you and show you in one fashion or another. And so, what did I do with my pad? So I'm gonna have a sip of coffee. Coffee. Gotta have some coffee. That is a blessing. Thank you, God. That is something I hope that there's going to be some coffee, but you never know. We have to live without it. But thank God for coffee. Thank God for everything. But anyhow, so I wanted to run that seismic situation out for you that I came across today, and how it all kind of dovetails into what's going on with everything else that's going on. And it's we don't, if this storm is the precursor to the impact which starts this whole time, really, then we're there. I mean, we are there. We don't have long, and it's important, the main thing is just get as close to God as you can right now, and seek Him with everything you have, and read the Word as much as you soak it in, because they're coming for us, okay? And they're going to try to eliminate the Word, eliminate the ability for believers to absorb it and read it and refer to it and to know it. Okay, they want to remove anything and everything that has to do with Jesus Christ off the face of the earth. That is their goal, and they're doing a pretty good job of it already. And it doesn't help that many believers, or they call themselves believers, Christians, that they're not being diligent in their studies, and they're not being diligent in their prayer time and their prayer life. And there's times when we're all guilty of that, but it's important that we are determined to continue and work as hard as we can at it, because we owe it to Him. I mean, He gave everything for us, and what is it for us to give everything back to Him? And it's just we're in our meager status that we're in, where we are. I mean, it's a blessing to be able to be used by God to help bring in other brothers and sisters into the kingdom. It's an honor. He's such an awesome God. He is allowing us to participate in the harvest of these souls that are so precious to Him, and that is heavy stuff. I mean, He's allowed us to be heirs to His great work and His eternity of glory. It's like, wow, that's pretty big. blow your mind on that. But so getting back to the situation here, there was something else I came across too. Okay, Taiwan. Okay, so we have this situation in the Ukraine, right? And it's becoming such a cluster that NATO is in big trouble, and the United States is painting themselves in this corner, and it's a no-win, okay? And Russia is not going to stop what they're doing, okay? And the talks have ceased, okay? There's going to be a point where they're out of some sort of desperation that is just crazy. They're going to launch this nuclear attack. But I think before that occurs, okay, there's this situation in Taiwan is going to pop, okay? The Chinese are going to just swamp Taiwan with massive seizure power that they have, and they are going to just go in there and take it. And the United States is going to and I who it was Japan. Oh, I was going to get that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to pause this for a minute. I'll edit that out. Okay. All right. So the Taiwan situation. All right. So it's my gut feeling that this Taiwan situation is going to pop pretty quick. All right, and the U.S. Navy, okay, is going to get beaten very badly, and the whole Pacific Fleet is going to be thrashed severely. All right, Hawaii is right here. You know, it's Taiwan is here, okay. Guam is right around here somewhere, right about here, and Hawaii's over here, right? So Japan, we have some Navy ships up here in Japan, ports and such. Now, the Japan, according to what this fella saw, was going to be like the first. They're going to be the first to react against this move on Taiwan. The U.S. Navy is going to also get involved, and there's going to be a 14-ship task force that is going to get hammered. Okay. And I've got I think the blurb of it right here, and it's from Alexander B. Cuppet. Okay, he was in the military. There's a picture of him right there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it looks like he's in Iraq or somewhere. And he wrote a letter to General Richard Myers, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the time. And he also has sub-info sent to all these guys. CNO, Vice Joint Chiefs of Staff, CSA, Command Sergeant, you know, and the Sergeant Major, Army, all these people, SINCUR, SACUR, SINCPAC Fleet, SINCPAC, SINC Fleet, CUBSOMPAC, COMSUBPAC, COMSUBLANT, all these people, you know, Senator Allen and Congressman Goody and Cantor. Okay, so he put this out there, and there's no date, I don't think, on this, but yeah, it was somewhere probably after 2002, because he refers to a letter, my letter, subject Soviet defeat of USS Kitty Hawk's radar surveillance screen in Westpac, dated 10 February 2002. So this correspondence was, sent out a long time ago, but what was shown in it has yet to happen. Now, he was talking about this friend of his. During the 9 years I've known him, he's never been wrong on any prediction he's made. This includes, but is not limited at all, to the Dow Jones Industrials bottom out on 24 September 2002 and the rise of per barrel oil prices to the very dollar amounts this year. The subject prediction detailed below concerns the U.S. Navy. Some days ago, my friend was given a Holy Ghost vision of the U.S. Navy Carrier Task Force, consisting of 15 ships and 3 subs, being attacked by Chinese PRC forces. In the scenario, there was a football-shaped fleet, see attached, sailing information. Now I just drew up a quick little diagram of that to show you kind of how they roll. And it'll look something like that, okay? So you've got, all the ships. You've probably seen photographs of, our carriers out at sea, and, they're escorted by several ships in a sort of a football-shaped formation, okay? Now, the guy that saw this vision, he didn't know anything about this kind of setup as far as how our Navy rolls across the ocean. So, and he states that in here. So there were 14 surface ships ahead of or around the flagship, a CVA or CVN, he wasn't sure. Suddenly the carrier, which was in the center of the formation, was hit on the port side. A huge hole opened and the carrier then slowed and shuddered to a stop. Before any planes could be launched, it rolled 30 degrees to port, okay? That's to the left side of the boat, casting all the aircraft into the ocean. It then rolled to 90 degrees and capsized, all in a matter of a few minutes. Enemy surface and subsurface elements were also operating. At that point, the entire formation was struck by missiles, each ship being hit, including 2 SSN submarines, which were operating submerged on the flanks of the CVA. And I indicated those right here. Okay, these are the subs, okay? And, these could have been here or here, but out here somewhere, submerged, okay, hidden away. Okay, this included the loss of a rover fast attack sub, which was also in the task force. Subsequently, enemy aircraft overflew the fleet. Therefore, it must be ascertained the attacking planes were never detected by the radar screen. The ships were sunk by air-to-surface missiles, whereas the subs were sunk with air-to-subsurface devices. I suspect the missile which hit CVA had a nuclear tip. I also suspect the recent Sino-Soviet exercises were perfecting their operations plans to attack our Westpac units. Be advised, the bait will be an incident with Taiwan, and the Russians and the North Koreans shall be in some manner involved in the scenario. And that's kind of my gist of what's going on with Russia right now. I mean, they're thick with China. China's over here as well. China has troops, and they're operating in Ukraine or with Russia, and working this problem. Okay, and it's no secret that they're allies, but they're definitely working together on this mission for Taiwan. And anyway, he goes on, he says, the entire formation was sunk, not one element unit surviving. The loss of life was great. Be advised, the gentleman having this vision has absolutely no knowledge of U.S. Navy surface or subsurface operations or tactics, to include convoy screening techniques. Very respectfully yet sorrowfully, with warm regards, Al Cuppet. Bronze Star, Purple Heart medals. It refers to some of the stuff he was involved with. Secretary of Defense Civilian Service Medal and Joint Staff 1990, Joint Meritorious Unit Award, the Joint Staff 1984 to 1990. So this guy's been around the barn, and he knows, he knows some things. So this friend of his, he doesn't mention the name of this fellow, but you know, it's not really important. He trusts him because of things that, you know, the Lord has revealed to him. So it doesn't go well for our Navy. It's not going to go well for our Navy. They have some tech that they have acquired that is going to basically render our boats sitting ducks. And our Navy is a sitting duck, and it doesn't even know. At least, you know, most of the people on board probably don't have a clue. And most of those people are young, very, very young folks. You may have people on board some of the boats that are out there right now. The Ronnie Reagan, the last I looked, he was in Japan. The Abraham Lincoln was somewhere near the port of San Diego. But it had come back from, it looked like it came back from a little bit of a swim out in this area, and then it came back for some reason. So right now I don't know where it is. But I have a feeling that the Abraham Lincoln or the Ronald Reagan are involved in this scenario. It could be the Ronald Reagan, which would be CVN 76. So if you have people, you know, people in the Navy that are on board those ships, and any of the Westpac elements, okay, that are going to be involved in that are regularly Westpac elements, and you know people that are in those units, you warn them. I mean, this information, the Lord's allowing it to go out, okay, because He wants to save as many souls as He can. And if you know people out there, and you know that, you know, maybe they don't know the Lord, but because when this happens, they're only going to have minutes, literally minutes. A carrier, you know, is here. This happens to be a model of the Abraham Lincoln, okay, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's huge, okay. It's like 1,100 feet long, and you know, it's like 80 or 90 feet wide at the flight deck. And it's a great platform, you know, on a good day, all right, but you can project a lot of power from it. It carries like over 5,000 people on board with the flight crew, okay, and you know, 80 to 90 planes of different varieties. Most of them are fighters, but there's recon, there's air support, you know, for supporting infantry guys on the deck, and you know, there's communications planes and a whole myriad of different tasks they perform. But you know, that's when things are working fine and nothing's been hit, and it's just tooling along the ocean. But at best, you know, these are capable of doing 50 knots, but not for a very long time, because you're putting a heck of a lot of strain on the screws and the shafts and the bearings and all kinds of gear that's back aft. They normally operate, you know, somewhere between 25, 30 knots, you know, and that's moving, okay. But when you're looking at it from a distance, it's not that, it doesn't look like it's moving that fast, and it's a large, slow target, and you know, it's this ship that he spoke about was hit on the port side, which would be this side up forward. All right, so we're talking about the carrier, all right, before I ran out of time there. And so the ship gets hit on the port side, all right, that would be right around here somewhere, up forward, and it shudders to a stop, right? And then it starts to list 30 degrees, right? And watch what happens. Can you see the aircraft? I don't know, but you know, 30 degrees is about right there, you know, and then all the ship planes start sliding off the deck. And then it lifted to port all the way here to 90 degrees, you know, and then it just flipped over. And that all happened in minutes, okay? And not only are planes on the flight deck, okay, but there are planes inside the hangar bay, all right? And the hangar bay goes from about here to here, okay? It's huge inside. It's just this gigantic room, really. But it's capable of holding all the planes it has inside during really rough weather. And, you know, you're going to have planes inside that hangar bay, okay? And they're going to be sliding all around, and there's probably going to be ordnance on little carts and other things, you know, bombs and rockets and everything else that are going to be doing the same thing inside the plane, inside the ship, bouncing around, heavy gear, you know, and it's all going to be happening so fast that, I mean, it could be going down in like less than 10 minutes, you know. I don't know, but it sounds like it happened pretty fast to me. And when back in many years ago, when I was in the Navy, I was on board the USS Enterprise, and I had this dream. And at the time, this was back in 1980, and at the time, I was back here. I'll tell you where I was at. I'll show you where I was at. In this dream, I was back aft right here on the by the catwalks. I was probably, I don't know, 20 feet from the catwalks, and I was looking forward, and this huge explosion happened up forward, and the whole ship just went like up and started listing just like that, just like it was described in that story. And I remember climbing. I was scrambling to get to the catwalk as much as, you know, as fast as I could, and get on there and do a Titanic, you know, like they did in that movie where they were scrambling for the back edge of the boat and trying to get up on the railing and get on top, you know, before the ship went down. And that's basically what I was doing. And then I woke up, and I bopped. I was sleeping in a berthing space. It was just brand new refurbished berthing space. They just opened them up, and you know, the ship was in dry dock at the time, and going through a major overhaul. And so I got up, and in the bunks are only about, you know, 2 feet maybe deep, and I got up and wrapped my head on the top bunk and put a big old knot on top of my head. But I never forgot it, because it was just so vivid. It was so real to me. And so, you know, when I read that and I discovered this, I was just like, wow, you know, that was of you, Lord, you know. But I at the time, back in 1980, I didn't know that it wasn't the Enterprise. I didn't know. I just remember it happened so quickly that I didn't really get a chance to look at the island very closely because of the explosion and whatnot. And I was too busy scrambling for the catwalk. But because the Enterprise has a very unique superstructure. It's the only one like it that's ever been. But you know, at the time, I couldn't tell you what boat it was. So, but anyway, I got to pick up all my little airplanes. But anyway, it's just going to be some serious tragedy when it happens. Now, I calculated out, you know, the number of personnel that are going to be on board a task force of that size, and it's right around 10,000 people, maybe more. And so this task force gets hit. Okay, well, they're going to hit Guam, and they're going to hit probably Japan, where our ships are there. And they planned this ahead. Okay, so they're going to hit Hawaii. Pearl Harbor is going to get hit again. It's going to be, you know, December 7th, 1941, all over again. And it's going to be an unprecedented event. And, you know, it's I don't know that, I don't know, I don't know if they're gonna do anything in San Diego or not, or San Francisco at Alameda Naval Air Station, you know, or Long Beach area. But I imagine that they're going to be monitoring it very closely, and they may actually do something there too. I don't know. But the whole Navy is going to be in this huge cluster situation, and it's going to happen so suddenly. The news, when it comes out, is going to devastate, you know, the country in the magnitude of the event, and it's going to really, you know, change the whole military situation in the world when that happens, and it's going to be shocking to many people the extent of damage to our Navy that's going to occur. Now, nations project their power by their navies. They've been doing that for hundreds of years. And once, you know, I mean, Britain used to be the sovereign of the seas and all that, but their influence, you know, is still, you know, pretty stout, but it's not what it once was. And right now the Russians have a pretty sizable navy. The Chinese have a larger navy than we do right now. And from what I've been able to gather about some things I've heard and things I've gotten whispers of, they have a much larger navy and force than we do, and it's not all revealed. Okay, they've got it tucked away, and the Russians as well. And when they do this, it's going to really diminish our you know, our prowess and our power. The United States is, you know, it'll be hurting, and so it's only going to embolden our enemies more. And this is it's a huge ambush. Okay, this is the last ambush that the United States is going to be involved in, except for the final you know, event where the Chinese and the Russians, in conjunction with Cuba, you know, these guys, okay, Central America, and some other nations that are going to be collaborators with Russia and China, because it's, you know, it's going to be in their interest to do so for whatever reason, and it's going to be this massive strike against the United States. And like it says in the book of Revelation, where the 10 nations are in agreement, you know, and they're going to do what the Lord is wanting them to do. So this whole thing is of the Lord, all right? He's judging this country for its sin, all right? It's that simple. People, you know, they'll say, oh, God's love, and he will never do anything like that, and all this other stuff. Well, time out, full stop here, because he did it to his own people, all right? The children of Israel, when they were in all kinds of, you know, deplorable sin and totally depraved, okay, he hammered them and he sent them off, and they were dispersed, you know, and the area that they used to live in Israel turned into a desolate waste, and their temple was completely leveled, and they were, you know, at the mercy of whatever captive, you know, countries they were in, and things did not go well for them. The curses basically that are in Deuteronomy, you know, 28, where, you know, one will chase you 7 ways in 7 directions, and that's what has, you know, become, that's what's coming, and the country has not repented. You know, he's given this country plenty of opportunity to do that, and warned them, and warning them right now, and they're not going to, because of their pride, and they're just not going to do it, and their arrogancy, and that's just like Isaiah 9:10, you know, because of the arrogancy of their heart and the stoutness of their heart, they said, you know, we'll build it better. Okay, we've heard that before, huh? And you know, we'll be stronger than we were, and all this other stuff. You know, we'll replace the stones with bricks, and the bricks have fallen down, but we'll replace it with hewn stones, and we'll replace the, you know, the whatever tree it was with cedars and some, you know, all this proud spouting off, basically, that, you know, instead of addressing that this is a warning, okay, we got nailed, and it's a warning, it's a heads up. 9/11 was a heads up that something's wrong here. You know, read Jonathan Cahn. You know, he has a lot of insight. So read Jonathan Cahn, because he has a lot of insight on a lot of the reality of what happened on 9/11 on that day, and since then, and some of the history of our country that they don't teach in schools anymore. So as a result of some of this, and they may reinstate the draft before this, but they certainly will try to you know, ramp up, back up the military force that we have, and they're going to reinstate the draft. And the draft is going to be not a smooth thing, because there's going to be problems with logistics and supply, weapons, availability of, you know, providing enough equipment for all these guys that are going to just, you know, bring into the armed forces. There's just not going to be enough to go around. They're going to do this in such a rush, is my feeling, and I had a dream about it, and a friend of mine, also Ray Bergman from Innocence Redeemed, he also had a dream vision of this situation, and it was you know, they were their morale was really low. Okay, they knew they were going basically to their end, but their demeanor was just totally downcast, and that's kind of what was going on in the dream that I received. It was reminded me of Vietnam. It reminded me of that era, that time when you know, there was a lot of people getting sent overseas, and the morale was really messed up. Okay, they weren't getting a lot of support from the people at home. They were getting abused, and you know, they were getting called all kinds of terrible things, and it was this really strange time, and I remember it well. I grew up in it, and I missed it by a couple of years, but I had some friends that went and had to go, and my brother, he got a draft notice, but for some reason or other, he didn't have to go. But a lot of his friends did go, and they didn't come back, and that did a number on my brother, and on a lot of people, and it's going to be a difficult thing if you're of draft age. And now the draft age is going to be changed, a bit. Okay, I think because of the dire situation, and they're going to reduce the years down to a lower age group than currently exists, and also a higher age group. Okay, they're going to draft guys that are 60. And maybe even older than that, if they have certain specialties, like they're doctors or something, they can provide support in the medical profession or some other technical profession that they're going to need. And it's going to be difficult to see how they're going to pull all that off, but I imagine there's going to be a lot of promoting it on the news and the media. So there's going to possibly be a lot of patriotic rah-rah going on, and they'll seize the moment. That the people of America are going to be traumatized by this whole thing, and then they're gonna work to turn that into anger and also a fervor to to regain our prowess and our pride, and this is America, and you don't punch us, you don't do this, and all this stuff, and blah blah blah. Turn off the radio, turn off the TV, turn off the. Go take a long walk and think, okay? Because they're just, they have built a rickety dike, and they're just going to try to shove a lot of flesh into that hole. And they don't, I have to be careful. But it's there's a reason why, you notice lately they have retracted a certain requirement for guys that are in the military recently. Think about that, okay? Because they know that there's a certain unappealing aspect to going in the military that now exists, that didn't exist before, that nobody may want to be subjected to. So they're working it. That's about all I'm going to say on that. But if it was my kid, World War III, we're going to fight on the front porch, and that's the name of that tune on that. But because, anyway, that's my personal thought on the subject. But pray about it. Maybe the Lord wants you to go. The Lord is going to send Christians. There's going to be people taken from every walk of life. So there's going to be Christians that are going to be taken and drafted. And the Lord's going to place people in positions in the military to be there and to be a light in the darkness, okay? Now, if he did that, and if that was the case, okay, I'd go. But, if the Lord says go, I go, and that's it. My life is his. But it wouldn't be my personal wish, or but like I said, it's my life is his now. So if he did, I'd go. That'd be that. So there you go. Anyhow, but if you're a parent or you're of draft age, start running. Okay, get in shape. Stop doing the okay. Go out there and run. I don't, the current state of the school systems and what they're doing with physical education, I don't know personally, but I would take the court martial. Don't allow them to put anything in your body, okay? Tell them pound sand, I'll take the court martial, because it's not in your interest, This is not. And like I said before, the guys that stood their ground and refused to do it, I'd go with them anywhere, because I know they'll back me up. They'll go all the way to the wall, and that's it's weird, but they turned a dishonorable discharge into an honorable thing. It's kind of an ironic situation there, but that's just the way it is. And those guys are, you know, they will go to the wall, and I go with them. So that's how I feel about that. But anyway, so this is coming, and all of this, the whole reason I'm doing this really is because I can see this whole scenario at our door now, and you need to get right with God. Okay, it's that simple. Quit fooling around. You know, the more you read this, the more you pray about it, the more you get it, and the more He downloads the meanings and what's in it, and it's a living thing. They're going to try to ban this. They're going to try to diminish and remove anything whatsoever that has to do with Jesus Christ, and they're doing it already. Persecution is coming. All right. We're going to be, you know, hunted down at some point, and that's happening in some places already too. And it's happening on the quiet here now. There have been people that have become, you know, casualties of this huge war, this spiritual war, and the physical war. And you know, it's going to continue to be that way, you know. But these people laid their life down for their Lord, and that's, you know, well, I'm good with that. That's what it comes to. And you know, there's a lot of people underneath the altar at some point. Okay, you can read about it in the Book of Revelation. All right, and this, you know, they were willing to give it all for their Lord, and they did. And I say that in the past tense because in a weird, strange way, it is the past tense. This has already all happened, okay? In some strange way. We're just living it out, is kind of the gist I get. We're walking it out. We're existing in this little thing they call time, this sliver of existence in this physical world, as spiritual beings, as, you know, special forces for the Lord. Okay, we're here on this earth, but we're not part of it. We're not really part of it. We've been taken out of it. We're not of this world, and that's just an awesome thing. It's a privilege. It's an awesome blessing, you know, to be chosen by the Creator of the whole universe, and to be taught by Him and nurtured by Him and instructed. So, to bring this all to a close here, you know, the first. There's going to be some chaos hit here, okay? Pretty soon. That's what I'm getting. So, you know, now's the time to get off the fence, okay? And make your push over. Get beyond it already, and then get with the Lord and seek His face. Because it's right now is the day. Okay, right now, and I mean, this morning I looked online for a minute to check and see what, you know, the news was or whatever, and the Russians were launching missiles into Ukraine and just, you know, pummeling it again, and they're softening up the dirt so they can go in there. They're going to roll in there pretty quick. The conditions are better for them to do so now, and they're going to do it. And once they seize that area that I spoke about, to the Dnieper River, you know, the forces from NATO and the United States are going to do the dirty deed, and it, you know, it's just turning into a gigantic awful situation. So it's not going to get better, okay? And our own supply chain here in the United States is diminishing every day that passes. I mean, the prices of things are going up. There's unavailable, items that you just can't get readily anymore. The fuel prices, you know, they're going to go skyrocketing. You know, if something happened in the Middle East right now, it would be, you know, a sour thing. And plus, our fuel reserves are down. They've been using them and sending them to Europe, and you know, they cut off they shot themselves in the foot. Okay, and it's just, you know, it's a bad deal all the way around. And you know, pray for the kids that are going to be on these boats. Pray for our military, you know, our children. Okay, our national treasure. You know, looking at it from that perspective, you know, it's priceless, and it's at a great risk of perishing, and many will. And so they need our prayers. They need our intercession. They need, you know, if you're an intercessor, that's your thing, you're really an intercessor. No doubt you're already doing it, okay? But the rest of us that may not be in that realm as much as we should be, but we need to be, okay? We need to be the ones that are ripping our shirts open and getting in sackcloth and ashes now. That's it, okay? Let's get real here, because we're going to look back on this time and say, gosh, why didn't I do that? You know, I should have done that. And anything we can possibly do to further the harvest, we need to be doing it, you know. The plow sits idle, and we need to be pushing it, okay? So let's get on it. And you know, if you have to go, like you're drafted, boom, you have to go, then do the best you can. Do the best you can, and be the light, and lift up your brother, you know. When I was in, you know, we had our buddies, whoever was, you know, with us, they were, you know, they were us. We were a unit. There's a certain camaraderie, there's a certain brotherhood, there's a certain relationship you get when you're serving in situations that are dire like that, where you make bonds with people that are not easily broken, and some never are. And you know, the body of Christ should be that way, at least, okay? And it's not, but it needs to be. And so I pray for that. Pray for this rising. Pray for this rising, that you know, God is doing it, but He's doing it with us. So we need to be doing it. Amen. And so pray for, you know, and pray for the Russians. Pray for the Russians. Pray for the people in Europe. The people in Ukraine right now are living in such desolate, dire situations. There are people like that living like that in the United States. I mean, look at the streets of San Francisco and other places. You know, that there's no lack of people to pray for, and to you know, lift up to God and say, look, these are your children. We all need to be praying for them. We all need to be praying for each other as well, because the battle we're in is it's going to be a tough slog, and we have an enemy that wants to eliminate us off the planet, and he's doing a good job of it. And we need to be in the gap. We need to be with our armor on and our swords out, and we need to be hacking away at the enemy. So, with that, drive on, suck it up and drive on, and do the right thing. And I have when I was in the military, I think the Lord says, do good to those that abuse you, and love your enemies and all that. Well, it's being in the armed forces most of my life, I gained a healthy respect for soldiers, period, no matter where they were from, and because I know what they have to go through, and I know what they have to endure, and I know the commitment that's required, and I have something akin with them that I don't have with other people, and our walk with Christ has to be like that. Okay, if I was in a some restaurant or whatever place, and 5 or 6 Russian soldiers walked in and sat down, it's like I buy them a drink, or I buy them breakfast or something, and maybe talk to them and open up, and it's not like they're not human beings. They're human beings. They're the Lord created them. He created everyone, and we're all on this earth. So the Lord doesn't see through a filter anyone. It's we are his child. So with that, I'm signing off tonight. I'm a little tired. It's colder tonight than it was last night, but anyhow, I hope this helps somebody. I pray that it encourages someone or many out there to seek him with everything you have right now, because we're out of time, folks. We're out of time. This is it. It's like I said, you never know. It could be a bus or something, and it's life is short, and what we do here is what counts. While we're here. So I pray for you guys. I pray for you all out there. I may never meet any of you on this world, but we're going to get to know each other. And we have a long relationship ahead of us. So, think on those things, like you said. Think on those things. And it's just an awesome privilege, and I thank you, and I thank my Lord, and get ready, because it's coming. The last ambush. It's God's ambush, and there's no escaping it. So carry on.